Hey, Ashley,
Hey, Mecca.
what have you been into within the last 10 days? Let's say that. It changes day to day, I see. I feel like.
Yeah, okay. 10 days is a long time. I've been into a lot of stuff recently in the last
All
4 days. So I'll focus on those.
right.
I have long been into acupuncture and cupping, but since we have been in quarantine and things have been locked down, I have not been able to partake in those self-care activities. So actually, the other day I went for my first acupuncture and cupping session
Ooh,
in like four months or so.
did you have to
Um,
wear a mask?
I was wearing a mask when I came in. My acupuncturist took my temperature, took her temperature to share it with me. We were both in masks. My acupuncture sessions have always been in a private room,
Mhm.
so that was not an issue. And so I'm back into it. I'm back into acupuncture, back into cupping. I'm not like a live by cupping kind of person, but it's a part of my acupuncture procedure.
Okay.
And apparently I had a lot of muscle tension. And the darker the coloring of the cupping marks on you, means apparently the more stagnant your muscles were. So these were the darkest purple markings I've ever had, according to my
Oh,
acupuncturist. So I'm back into that.
do you go for a specific
Um,
reason or you like it just for overall health?
right. I go to acupuncture for mostly stress relief, overall health. I know other people use acupuncture for different things, fertility for acupuncture. Um, I know some people go to acupuncture for weight loss. I have not researched that extensively. I would encourage you to speak to a professional if you're seeking that out, but I go for stress relief.
All right, got it. So you go for stress release.
I do. I mean, I had to put that caveat in there. We are not physicians. We are not professional. We are not telling y'all this is what you need to do. So let's caveat that now. If you're going to try things, please speak with a professional first, for sure. But I also went hiking yesterday, and I've never done that before. So I'm into hiking now. I'm into it.
What was considered hiking for you? How long was the hike? Was it uphill? Was it flat?
Hike, yeah. Yeah, it was not flat. It was definitely a mixture of things. Like there was a lot of, so we did like three different trails and we were out for about 2 hours. So there was a mix of flat land, stairs. There's a lot of stepping up, like natural, like tree branches and bluffs and ridges, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
For about 2 hours, but it was nice to be out in nature, to hear the birds chirping, to be in, greenery around the trees, to see water. It was based around a lake. It was a good time. I'm into it. I had a good time. So that's what I'm into right now.
That
All
was
those things.
nice. How long
I feel
was
like
the
I did
hike?
all the self-care things. The hike was about 2 hours.
Okay,
So it was
that's
good.
fair. That's good. So yeah, that sounds good. Hiking and acupuncture are two things that you sound like you've been into, both of which are extremely helpful for grounding yourself and just getting deep into that self-care part. Okay, let's see. What have I been into lately? So I have been into, I would say over the last 10 days. Well, you know what? I said 10 days to you. You went 4, and I think that's smart to go 4. Um, because originally what I had been into was rising early in the morning and doing the things that I really wanted to do before like 9 o'clock in the morning. So that was my goal to like
Okay.
do 7 things. It used to be 7 things before 7. So now it's like, 9 things before 9. And those 9 things doesn't mean like, big task. It could just mean, brush your teeth, take a shower, doing these like things for yourself before a certain time.
Oh,
So what I've been into is finding exercises and way to move while sitting down and doing exercises on the floor. So that's what I've been into, like using a lot of bands, core work, just like exercises I can do that I don't have to physically like get up, jump, run, move my legs as much. So that has been, I never really realized that was a whole industry in itself, but I found a ton of videos on YouTube, some books, and a couple of different trainers that specialize like for their athletes that have injured themselves, how they can still stay active if they have sprained an ankle or broke a toe. Anything dealing with the fact that you can't use your legs and feet as you normally would. So that's kind of what I've been on the last 4 days, which has been great. The other thing that I have been doing, I already meditate, but I typically meditate, just by myself. But I think, and maybe you did this too, because I feel like I remember you saying this. But my friend wanted to do the group meditation, and it's this different theme every day around one thing. So that's been pretty cool to kind of hear everybody's perspective. But it also came at a time when I started reading a book about the same theme, which was abundance. And I think next week we'll talk about like what abundance means to you. But it's been an eye opener because I feel like within the last 10 days, I can say 10 days, there has been this overuse of the word and overuse of the theme abundance. And none of that means it's a bad thing. It just means that this is like the time that it comes in our time frame. And abundance, of course, can mean anything for anybody. But I would say a themed group meditation and seated exercises have been the two things that I have been into. So if you have injured your foot, or maybe you feel like you want to start working out in a seated position or on the floor, there's a whole world out there to accommodate those needs. Being it you have a permanent injury or a temporary injury. I'll say that. And then this group meditation piece has been great. Apparently people do this all the time. I haven't been doing it. So I thought it was pretty cool. And that's what I am into.
Hey, all good things.
Like the Black girl meditation music.
Hey, I have always been curious about ASMR. I've heard about it. I've heard, there's this whole community of people that there's women and men that actually, create an income off of this. And then there's, on the other side, there's a group of people that absolutely love this and it's a delight in their world. I don't really understand it that well. Can you, if you do you know anything about this ASMR and like what it entails and like what's it all about?
Yeah, so I have taken some time to look into ASMR, and based on some articles from Psychology Today, Healthline, what I've come to find out is the term ASMR is actually, it actually stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response.
What?
And I know it is a response that is described as the experience of tingling sensations at the crown of your head that maybe go down the length of your neck and maybe your upper shoulder area that can be triggered by sounds, or it's a response to sounds such as whispering, tapping, hand movements, etc. So there's not a lot of scientific research out there about this. I'll go ahead and say that. This does seem like, based on my short research, this was basically sparked as an online phenomena. And what I found most interesting in the course of reading up on this is that a lot of people who experience ASMR say that they seek out these videos of people whispering or zipping and unzipping items or tapping their fingers on a microphone. They seek it out as a form of stress relief, relaxation, similar to meditation or a guided meditation experience. And what I found most interesting is not everyone experiences this, okay? They, according to Psychology Today, some research out there by Fredborg, Clark, and Smith in 2017 looked at the personality characteristics of people who experience ASMR. Okay. And what they found is that people that experience it had significantly higher scores on openness to experience and neuroticism and lower levels of conscientiousness, extroversion, and agreeableness as compared with some members of the control group. So in addition to this, there was a positive correlation between a set of common ASMR triggers, so the whispering, the tapping sounds, scratching sounds, and the openness to experience and neuroticism dimensions of the personality test that they gave these people. So the higher scores on the openness to experience scale would indicate that people who experience ASMR have greater sensitivity and receptivity to sensations. And so it could be that you're a person that watches an ASMR video or listens to an ASMR platform or something and you don't experience it. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's something wrong with you.
I wouldn't
The
think it.
research indicates that certain people respond to this and not everyone. And I did some more digging, and what I found most interesting is like there's different forms of this as well. There's things such as role playing or like
Role playing
uninter.
like role playing like in general, comedies, romantic, like
No, like role playing, like so let's just do an experiment right now.
okay.
If I were trying to serve as the role player and you were watching a video of mine, it could be something as simple as, Mecca, I'm here to take care of you today. Let me take a look into your eyes and look at your eye shape. Let me put on some makeup for you. And I would like go and get a makeup brush and role
Is
play as
role
if I
play that
was.
voice you just used?
So, I mean, that could be a part of it. But generally, I watched a few videos. Generally, people are whispering, speaking in calm, soothing tones. And
Okay.
so, in reflection, personally, what I take from this is an opportunity for you to experience some form of of soothing,
Mm,
something that soothes you. For some people, getting your makeup done or having someone stare into your eyes, creating that connection is soothing. So
okay.
that's my general research on the topic. What are your thoughts?
I think that if I'm listening correctly, if I hear correctly, I would if I sum it all up, right? And me summing it up is not discounting or dumbing it down, but if I sum it all up, I would say it sounds like a form of sound therapy. You know, it's a different type of sound theory. So there's different sounds and actions that can soothe one's being, right? So being it
Right.
a tone of voice, um, a, a tone of voice, a dialect, a zipper, or a specific noise, you know, that can be used to kind of make people feel at ease or calm, or maybe that kind of enlightens them. It sounds
Mm-hmm.
like a form of sound therapy. That's what it sounds like. It's a form that I don't know how I wasn't super familiar with. Um, and I definitely would say it's I don't know, I don't know if this is new. This isn't new, right?
What, ASMR itself?
Hmm.
I would say it's actually something that has become more widespread in the last couple of years. I don't want to go so far as to say it is or is not new, but I do want to emphasize that this is an online phenomenon that doesn't have a lot of historical scientific research around it.
Okay.
So,
Okay. I just remember
you know what I really think happened, Mecca? Is some people found other people like them and were like, hey, these listening to these sounds or watching someone zip and unzip a bag is really soothing to me for some reason. And some other people tried it and were like, yeah, I get that. And then it became widespread. That's what I think. That's really what I think. And I think that may differ from sound therapy, right? Which is probably based in more scientific
well,
reason.
the point of sound therapy is a vibrational noise that brings you to a certain point. It can elevate you, it can make you feel floaty, it can calm your mind, it can relieve stress.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I always ask the question, what's the end result of it? What's the end result of me doing ASMR? Is it giving me some type of pleasure? Is it, arousing me, arousing my mind, arousing me sexually? Like, what's the end result? You said that some of the end
Right.
results were calmness, anxiety, like
Reduction.
some of the same end results of sound therapy. No, it's not exactly like sound therapy. I was saying a form of it, meaning,
Okay.
the purpose of it. So I don't know. That's
Okay.
kind of where I get from it. I don't know. It's something definitely to explore. And I know there's a whole community of people out there that that actively are practitioners. In my mind, I thought that sounds a little morbid, but in my mind, I thought that this was like an extension of phone and voice eroticism. Is that the word?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what I originally thought in my head, that this was more of, okay, I want to hear this person's tone of voice. I want to hear, the dryness of their, if you haven't had water in a while, you can hear the dryness of your mouth, the tongue, that this was things that were arousing them. That's what I originally thought it was. But listening to you, it sounds like it definitely goes way more than that. And it's not what I thought at all. So that's pretty interesting.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting space. I would encourage anyone that wants to explore ASMR further. Other things that they say could be triggers are the sounds of hair play, such as brushing your hair. Um, it's really based around, I think, things that are situational, eye contact, role playing, as I mentioned, personal attention, meaning I'm speaking to you and it feels like I'm speaking just to you, even though there could be thousands of viewers looking at a
That's a
certain
form of
video.
ASMR.
Yeah, there's different forms of it. Paint mixing.
When you say that, is that the person on the receiving end feeling that way? Or is the person
Right.
that's saying it actually making you, okay.
So the trigger, I'm describing triggers, but ASMR is the reaction, is a physical reaction that someone watching any of these activities, such as paint mixing, is experiencing.
Okay,
So I could be someone that is triggering ASMR for you, for example.
right now.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. That makes
So
okay. So
I tried it. I'm
reaction.
not quite sure if I felt anything from it, but
What'd you
some
try?
people out there.
Which one? What did you try?
I watched a video. I watched a couple of videos. I watched a video of a woman whispering and counting down from 1,000, which apparently some people use to help fall asleep, help them relax and fall asleep.
Okay.
And I watched a video of a gentleman crinkling up a bag of Sour Patch.
Sour Patch. Now, could it have been gummies, or it had to be?
It could have been any bag, I'm sure, but I like Sour Patch. So I was paying attention to what he was doing, and maybe that's not helping me to relax, but he was trying to make the crinkling noises. I did not feel anything in general, but I recognize that this may work for other people who are soothed by these types of sounds.
Yeah.
Or maybe they have some kind of sensory memory. It takes them back to a point of relaxation or soothing in their childhood. For example, my mother was not somebody who like sang to me or used whispering, nurturing sounds to help me sleep, so that didn't trigger anything for me, but possibly maybe for someone it does. Things that I find soothing are what? Go ahead.
I just thought about something that soothes me.
What soothes you? I think it's more important to focus on what is soothing for you. So what is soothing for you, Mecca?
Right when I'm on the plane and right when we're on the runway, right before takeoff. So the time that the in between the time that the flight is actually getting ready to take off and we lift off, I fall asleep immediately. Like I could be up and I could not be sleepy, but it's something about that length of time and that speed that literally like puts me out. Like that's my sleeping pill if I needed one. Also, when I was younger, my mom would put me in the car and drive me around a little bit if I was fussy or if I couldn't go to sleep, because I felt that movement of maybe that's the thing for me. Maybe that
Yeah.
movement of floaty and drivey calms me down.
Yeah, perhaps that is soothing for you.
So what are some things that you said was soothing? What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
I think for me, I was thinking about this as I was reflecting on how these triggers did not work for me. I think what's actually most soothing for me is sitting under a weighted blanket, or being under any blanket that provides warmth. So whenever I'm just sitting on the couch or sitting in my library, in my space, I like to be under a blanket, even if I'm not particularly cold. It's something about having the weight of the blanket, and I feel particularly soothed when I'm under a weighted blanket. I have a 15-pound weighted blanket that I
Oh,
used
wow.
as
Okay.
well. I'm not quite sure where that sparked from in my childhood. Like right now, I can't connect it to a specific point in my childhood, but I do know that it's something that I find very soothing.
And so you specifically went out to find this 15-pound blanket for that purpose. It wasn't for anything else, right?
Right. So my husband bought me this blanket as a way to help with anxiety reduction. Because so my husband used to travel quite frequently for work, and I was not traveling at the time. So he bought it for me as a way to feel like I had some weight on me or in the bed with me when I was going to bed,
Okay.
because I was a little bit anxious about being home alone so frequently at night. And it worked.
Okay. I get it. I can dig it. All right, so I mean, if you guys, we are not experts at this, but if you want to look it up, you can always Google in ASMR or do some type of search on a YouTube for this practice.
Is this like the black girl meditation music?
Okay, Mecca. I took a trip to Thailand and I was told you have to go to the full moon party. You're in town just at the right time. You have to go to the full moon party. Sadly, I was not able to stay for any full moon parties, but I recognize that this is a thing that I don't understand. So, what can you tell me about full moons and the significance of full moon cycles?
Well, thank you for asking that question, Ashley. I know I sounded all like I got all Walter Cronkite on you. All right, so full moons. I mean, we have the full moons and the new moons. And I think we touched a little bit about new moons. Maybe that might have been what it was. But this particular new moon is interesting. I'm sorry, this particular full moon is interesting, and people celebrate the moons because it used to be a way of time references. 4 moons ago, 5 moons ago, five full moons ago. So it was a time of reference. It's also a lot of mysticism and magic that people feel like happens around the time that these moons come into play. So I'm going to read something from someone that I respect and I follow as well. But I thought it was pretty cool. So just so you can know about this particular moon that's happening in July. So technically it was at July. It first appeared July 5th at 12:44 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But the magic of the full moon is still great 2 or 3 days before the actual date and 2 or 3 days afterwards as well. The magic of it and the strength of it is there for a good 2 weeks, but the strongest points is the 3 days before and 3 or 4 days after. And everyone has their take on what that means for them. But this person I do appreciate. So let me read something to you. So full moon lunar eclipse in Capricorn is a rare solar alignment of the planets tonight. It's all about growth and will urge us to align our hearts and minds and bodies to liberate from toxic energy and focus on our goals, ambitions in life moving forward. So expect miracles. So what's said is that this, what's rare about it is that very rare planet alignment is happening, and it won't happen again until 2161. So all the planets of the solar system, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto will all line up on one side of the sun. So expect miracles. And this is a really high time to go into this abundance that you may seek out. So during this time, there's different ways when these alignments happen, there's different ways that people kind of honor it or celebrate it and want their own kind of rituals. So, I mean, I have a few rituals that I do that are super simple and things that, that may be able to help you as well. One of the things that people like to do is they may take, if you have crystals, do you have crystals, Ashley?
I do not have any
So
crystals.
if you have like crystals or, favorite keepsakes that mean something to you, I say rose quartz and quartz. Those are crystals that all, they all have this property that brings off various entities from it, being it good luck, harmony, calmness. Some people may not use crystals, but they may use other objects that give them that same feeling, or they believe that gives them that same feelings. So this is the time that you can put these objects in the full moon array to charge them, meaning give them more life. Even if you can't decide where outside you would charge them, putting them outside or putting them on your windowsill is a good way. That's the intention. You showing your intentions of, I'm putting my article or artifact that means a lot to me to be charged in the full moon. Another piece is creating full moon water. So you can take like a glass jar and you can fill it up with water. Spring water is probably the best. And do the same things that I just said. You could put it at a windowsill. It could also be outside, but the intention is to charge that water. You could also put the crystals in that you really like to. You can do a little research and find out which herbs resonate with what you are feeling at that time, being it like cinnamon, rose petals, all kind of like, it could be rosemary, what you're feeling at that point if you do a little Google search. And then that water, it can either be drank or it can be just used, maybe you want to use it to water your plants. Maybe you want to use it to like clean off a special area in your house. It's like a sacred water. So it can be ingested or it can be used in an area of your house that you feel very sacred and you want to use like charged water for it. Another one that's really simple, and I do this one a lot, is like ritual baths. So maybe you have, you're taking a really nice warm bath, and at that time you're meditating in the bath. Typically when we meditate, it might be like in the bed, it could be in a chair, maybe it's on the floor, wherever your normal place to meditate. But this one would be in the bathroom, creating your own little spa. Maybe you have your favorite candles, some incense going. And the one thing I would say, if you decide to meditate, using the mantra Om, OHM, am I saying that right? Om, helps bring out, whatever you're meditating on, it intensifies it during the time that I'm talking about. So the intentions is during the full moon, during a bath, with the mantra of Om. All of those pieces, all of those alignments that I just mentioned can activate whatever it is that you're trying to bring about very easily and quickly.
Interesting.
But there's so many different things. You can definitely meditate. You could, and that meditation could mean, just as I said, taking a bath. It could be your normal meditation. It could be yoga, physical meditation with painting and drawing, journaling, in the moonlight, like I mentioned before, charging your crystals, your water, any type of items that you really love and that holds sacred to you, or that you feel brings a certain aspect. Maybe you have a good luck ring, or there's a necklace that you got when you were a child and you feel like you wear it when you want to feel confident. So items like that are really good to charge. Maybe you're cleaning your space, and that cleaning the space is not necessarily just physical, but you're going to put on an incense. You're going to like clear the space with some sage or some Palo Santos. So just doing these little rituals that kind of like acknowledge the moon cycle, acknowledge something that you would like to see happen, and actively mentally, bring it about. It's one thing for us to just write it down. Oh, this is what I want. But when you kind of create like a little bit of a ritual around it, and I just gave off some really simple pieces, it really gets you into the intentions of bringing it to you. And then it just feels good at the same time. Ashley,
Okay.
you said you didn't get a chance to go to that full moon event, but like, is there anything that you do, regardless if there's a full moon, a new moon, or whatever, that you do as a ritual to kind of concentrate on anything that you're trying to bring about in your life? And it doesn't have to be anything big either.
Think that I do anything that is as targeted or specific as what you described. But what I will say is, what I'm hearing, as I'm hearing it described, it sounds like, for me, I would translate this to mean this is about harnessing energy and really trying to focus on a type of experience or state of being that I want to manifest. And so I don't think I do anything as specific as what you described, but I do go through periods where I meditate on certain thoughts, phrases, or feelings. So you mentioned earlier your meditation on abundance. I'm currently meditating on revitalization and reconnecting my mind, body, and spirit. And I'm going through a period of journaling and meditation and activities that allow for me to keep that top of mind and of focus. And I'm doing that through a period of time. So that would be kind of my full moon exercise. That's not really full moon, but maybe I should align it.
Yeah, and actually alignment. I mean, you also just mentioned you go acupuncture, cupping. These are all like alternative medicines that circulate energy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I spent a year and a half in acupuncture, and it you don't even have to go for a specific reason. It helps just regardless. So there are certain things that I feel like you do and people out there do. They may not even realize it. They may not consider it, oh, that's not a ritual. Going to the hair salon, letting someone else shampoo your hair and not having a care in the world. That's a form of a ritual. You have decided to, for that suspended moment of time, whatever you typically are thinking about, typically we don't think about it. That's our one time to just be in an environment where we are silent. So, well, I am glad to hear that, and I love to hear more about your meditation. And if you guys have any fun rituals that you guys, partake in, please reach out to us, Incense and Whiskey on Instagram. And let us know. Let us know what you're doing.
All right.
Catch us next time on Incense and Whiskey.
In the meantime, take a breath, have a sip.